Hi, and welcome to E30 Journey. My name is Lee, and I'm the guy that bought a car built by a guy named Mike as a tribute to his friend named Corey. And I felt like a car that had such special meaning to one person and had some visibility out there on YouTube might want to have some continuity of story. So I'll probably be home by the time you see this, but I'm flying to LA to pick up the car with my youngest spawn, who's 20, so he's not that young. And we're going to drive the car across the country home. So going to be a great adventure to start off, a literal journey to start with my new E30. So to give you a little background on me, I've been a lifelong BMW enthusiast from the time I was an early teen. Had a E28 M5 poster up on my wall, actually cut out of a magazine, an ad. I had my first experience with a car where I just stayed looking at a car, gorgeous Euro E24. I think it was a Euro. I was only about 13 at the time. And eventually that led me to buying BMWs and really being very focused on those 80s BMWs. So I have a tendency to buy cars and drive them a long way home. Believe it or not, this is not the first time I've driven a car home from the West Coast back here to the East Coast in North Carolina. But that was not the first car BMW I had. I had a 92 325 E36 that I really enjoyed, and happened upon an E36 M3 sedan 5-speed that was just too good a deal to pass up, so I had that for several years. So that passion for the E24 body style led me to turn in a very nice 1998 M3 on a 1986 Euro M635, and I actually drove that car home from Colorado. So the M3 actually came home with me from Orlando with my buddy Dave. I drove my M635 home from Colorado myself. And then later, when I realized that it wasn't the best idea to drive a Euro M635 every day, I was driving it to work, I went out and bought in New Jersey a 325iX. That's an E30 all-wheel drive, and boy, I loved that car, and I missed it once it was gone. Now, I needed a little bit more room than the E30 had, so eventually I traded it in, or sold it to a family member, and got an E39 5-speed wagon. Now, that one was the one where my buddy Dave from the E36 M3 and I flew to the Portland, Oregon area, dipped our toes in the Pacific, turned around, came all the way across the country in about 4.5 days, and dipped our toes in the Atlantic, and then came back to my house here in central North Carolina. So big trip. It was one of my favorite things I've ever done in my whole life. And now I'm getting ready to do it again with one of my sons. So I'm really excited about that. Now, after the E39 had to find a new home, I had a Mini Clubman, which reminded me a lot in a lot of ways of an E30. But it just doesn't capture the magic. And I had a couple of chances to drive E30s. In the meantime, I had the Mini for 11 years. And I really did miss an E30. So when I saw Mike put up his E30 that he'd built in tribute to his friend Corey up for sale on YouTube, I jumped at it. And I have to really thank Mike. He's been absolutely amazing through this whole process. He's done more than I asked him to. He's been extremely transparent. And so we're going to go up in a couple days and fly out and meet him and then drive the car home. So to kick things off, I figured I'd do a Q&A. Now, obviously, this is the first video on this channel, so I thought about some questions that I would expect people to want to know. And the first of them is, why do a YouTube channel? And like I said at the beginning, I really felt like this car had so much investment in it, in the build, in the intent of the build, and certainly a lot of people saw it. I just felt people would like to kind of follow it into its next chapter with me. And I go to car shows and local meets, and I just like to do things. And, I work on all the family cars, including my old M635, which will continue to be in my garage for as long as I can manage it. So I thought that next chapter, I'm much less capable hands than Mike, but certainly no less enthusiastic hands than Mike. So I felt like the documentation of the journey for this E30, this very special one that Mike built, should continue, and it might be a little bit of fun too. So I'm pretty active in the E24 community. I'm rejoining the E30 community, and I felt like sharing. So why did I buy this car? I bought it because I missed my E30, plain and simple. And I had seen the video that Mike did and was so inspired by it as he built it. And then when he did his sort of cost breakdown, I realized that it would be a real challenge to ever own an E30 at that level, ever. And so when he put it up for sale, it was hard not to do it. And like I said, knowing I missed my E30, and it actually happened to be the day before my birthday. So when I brought up the idea to my wife, her answer was, well, your birthday is tomorrow. And that kind of sealed the deal. So that's why I bought the car. So I am definitely too old to own this car. But I think that's kind of the recapturing thing. If you're going to call me midlife crisis guy, I'm going to say I'm guilty. But this is definitely one of the more spouse-friendly midlife crises you can ever have, especially when she gave it to me as a birthday present, essentially. So yeah, I'm a little old for it, but I don't mind that at all. So what are my plans for the car? That's a really complicated question. So I'm going to drive it. It's going to be my primary daily driver car. And that really is the lure of this car, is it's so mechanically finished that I can do that. Now, there are a few small things I think mechanically left to do that Mike hasn't gone all the way through the car 100%. It's probably 98%. So there are a few mechanical things, and then there's some cosmetics. So the dash has cracks in it. He was very upfront about that. Has a dash mat. I have a buddy who has some dashes that I might be able to convince to sell me one and maybe help me swap it out. Maybe he might just drink and watch me swap it out. The back seat is still the cloth. The door cards are cloth. I might try to convert it to all black. I don't know. I want to see the car and let the car kind of tell me what it wants cosmetically, other than the dash, which kind of brings us to paint. Now again, Mike was super transparent about the paint. It's a car that has been repainted and has a few flaws, but at the end of the day, again, it's a driver. I don't want to sweat the paint. Maybe one day I'll do that. Maybe I won't. I want to make sure it stays non-rusty is the main thing. But overall, I want to live with the car for a while and let it tell me what it would like to have done to it. And that's going to be part of the journey with it. So that's it. That's the introduction for E30 Journey and for me. By the time you see this, like I said, I'll probably either be on the way home or home already. So please feel free to ask any questions, any comments. Subscribe if you'd like to see the future chapters of the life with this car, or the life of this car, I guess I should say. And thanks very much. See you later.